Senator England, Senator Fillingane, Senator Frazier, Senator Harkins, Senator Hickman, Senator Hill, Senator Hobson, Senator Horn, Senator Jackson, Senator Johnson, Senator Jordan, Senator Kirby, Senator McCon, Senator McDaniel, Senator McClendon, Senator McMahon, Senator Michelle, Senator Moran, Senator Norwood, Senator Parker, Senator Parks, Senator Polk, Senator Seymour, Senator Simmons of the 12th, Senator Simmons of the 13th, Senator Sojourner, Senator Sparks, Senator Suber, Senator Tate, Senator Thomas, Senator Thompson, Senator Turner Ford, Senator Whaley, Senator Wiggins, Senator Williams, Senator Younger. Mr. President, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Will the senators and guests in the gallery please rise for the invocation given by Reverend Jaron Carney, the lead pastor at the Woodlawn Pentecostal Church in Columbia, Mississippi. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Senator Fillingane. Reverend Carney.
Let us pray. Lord, we humbly come into your presence this morning, and we thank you for another day to live and to invest in the lives of so many. Before the cares of the world consume our thoughts and the pressures of public service fall on our shoulders, we come together in unity to seek your wisdom and your direction. Your word says that you are high above all nations and your glory above the heavens. We live in a nation of many different creeds and convictions, ethnicities and backgrounds, but we know that you love and reign over us all. We pray against this divisiveness that plagues our land, and we humbly plead that by your miraculous power, unity will reign in Mississippi. Please let the ways that we exercise our freedoms reflect your holiness, your love, and your compassion. Grant the leaders in this room the power to do your will and the grace to bear the burden of responsibility that leadership brings. And Lord, I pray for our Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann. I want you to grant him the strength that is equal to the weight of his office and the wisdom to lead this great body of leaders. I pray for every senator and every party from every corner of this great state. Let your love fill their hearts and your will be demonstrated in their actions. Your word says that the righteous are as bold as a lion, and I pray that righteous leaders would stand up and take their place to lead this great state in the fear of our holy God. The times that we live in call for great leadership. Let us never settle for average when greatness is within our reach. Walk with each leader in this room and grant them the wisdom that only comes from time spent with you. Keep them in their moments of discouragement and remind them daily that you are the one who holds the whole world in your hands. Forgive us, Lord. Forgive us where we have failed you and where you have fallen short to bring glory and honor to your name. We are all sinners saved by grace. We need your help. We need your mercy. And we need your strength to make it through this day. We ask all of these things in your precious name, the name of Jesus Christ. Amen, amen. And amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Carney. Now to the reading of the journal. Senator Polk, you're recognized. 1 second, Senator Polk. Let us hit the button here. Okay, try that, sir. Still no go. I think we know this part. Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Message and petitions, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there are none.
Thank you. Committee reports, Senator Polk, you're recognized. Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next, to the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions, I recognize Senator Polk. The senator moves to dispense with the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Introduction of guests. Introduction of guests. Senator McCon, you're recognized for an introduction.
No speakers.
We're working on it.
If you could speak with a deeper voice, sir.
President, this is something you may want to do in a way else everybody can hear it. This is. I want to be sure that she's recognized.
Senator McCon has reminded me that our head page, Margaret Lawson, is her last day. So if we would please thank her for her hard work. Thank you. They do great work. Okay, other introductions. Other introductions.
This is a replacement.
Okay.
Item 22.
Let's move to the calendar, and we may have, we'll see if it works up here. 1 second. Hold on. Yep. Okay, we're going to start with the calendar. It'll be number 1, Finance. Senator Harkins, pass. Number 2, Senator Harkins, pass. Number 3, pass. Rules, Senator Kirby. Senator Kirby passes, and they retain their place on the calendar, number 4 through 20. So we'll move to the motions to reconsider. 21.
I ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2817, Mississippi Burn Center, bring forward code sections for possible amendment.
Mr. President, I move we do reconsider. Senator Polk has said he wishes to offer an amendment, and if we reconsider the bill, he can do that.
Motion is to reconsider. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Polk, you're recognized. The bill is before us.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairman. The strike all amendment that we have for this bill, let me do a little prehistory here. In 2007, a bill was passed by the legislature back then that said that if there became not a burn center designated in Mississippi, that the University of Mississippi Medical Center would take on that responsibility. And it said it shall take on the responsibility. The bill that I've got, the strike all amendment I have before you, would take the guarantee that the University of Mississippi Medical Center would be the burn center for Mississippi. And it would open it up to any medical center in Mississippi to be able to do that. This bill only does that. It just says that it will not become the medical burn center for Mississippi. There is a fund of about $1.1 million per year that is there for a burn center. This bill would allow us to be able to spend that money with any hospital, medical center that would take on the responsibility of being the burn center of Mississippi. The legislature would be totally in charge of these funds, and it could go to any hospital or medical center that so chose to do the burn center work for Mississippi. What this bill does is just allow other opportunities for other medical centers to be the burn center of Mississippi. As you know, we had one originally in Greenville. I think it was Fireman's Burn Center. And then for many years now, Merritt over in Hines County, in the South Jackson area, was the burn center. They decided to close that, so now we have an opportunity for other hospitals to become the burn center and receive any funds that the legislature may approve. That's what the strike all amendment does. If there are no questions, use in the morning roll call for passage.
Questions? We have several, starting with Senator Fillingane. Pass. I'm sorry. Your light's on, but that may be from before. Senator Boyd, for what purpose do you seek recognition, ma'am? Just 1 second. We've got a microphone coming to you, Senator. If you use that one, please, ma'am.
Senator Polk, do you know if UMMC has already invested and that they have been doing this and relying on this because they are the default burn center? Do you know?
As far as I know, they have a request for appropriation from this legislature for the needed equipment and operational monies to do the burn center. That has not been approved yet. So to my knowledge, no money directly for a burn center has been spent.
Okay, my understanding is though they are presently operating right now doing burn care. Is that not correct?
Several hospitals still do burn care, but we're talking about the burn center, what becomes the burn center.
All right, Senator Polk, I've asked a number of questions about this because I've heard various things around this. These are not highly profitable.
They are not.
A hospital at the most is going to break even on this, correct?
I would not say that because I'm not a hospital administrator, but I know it's not a high profit margin item.
I think I've got great concerns of, we know that UMMC as the state hospital and one that we do, that this, because of the lack of profitability, if we don't have some organization that's designated that we keep investing in, that we know will keep doing this, that it could be very fly by night. An organization could decide, yeah, this is not very profitable for us, but we're going to not do that this year, but then next year it might just go back and forth. It seems to me that we're not really looking at a continuity of care on these burn issues.
Is that a statement or a question?
More of a statement. Thank you.
What I would answer with that is, since 2007, the burn center has not been at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. And this bill does not make it where they are not the burn center. It just makes it where other facilities could be. And this legislature and future legislatures would have the opportunity to fund as such as they see fit.
Thank you, Senator Boyd. Senator Blunt, for what purpose? Senator Blunt passes. Senator Sparks, for what purpose?
Question, Mr. President.
Question, will you yield for a question, Senator Polk?
I do.
Senator Sparks, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairman Polk. As far as UMMC, do you know in this state how many level 1 trauma centers we have?
I believe it may be the only one.
Okay, and level 1, just so we know, is the worst. It's the absolute most egregious cases. People fly them in from all over this state for car wrecks, gunshots, trauma, significant trauma. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Would you agree that a lot of times people that go into the burn center have exhibited other traumas that would be better served by a level 1 trauma center?
Well, if that were the case, that would have been done years ago. But the burn center for Mississippi for years now has been at Merritt in Hines County.
Yes.
So that has worked well. To my knowledge, there's been no problems with that. So I think that is a good idea, but I'm not necessarily convinced that it's the best thing.
Okay. Then you mentioned an appropriations request. You serve on appropriations.
I do.
Do you know what the appropriation request was?
I believe I saw their appropriation request was $4 million.
Okay.
Thereabouts.
And have there been other appropriation requests from other people interested in having burn centers?
There I have.
What's their number?
I've forgotten. I think it's around 12 or 13 million requests.
Okay. So UMMC, who currently has statutory responsibility for a burn center, if there isn't one, is asking for a third of the amount of money as another facility, another institution currently.
Understand, this bill does not say that they can't be the burn center. It says that the legislature will decide and can decide where the burn center is. Now, the state health department actually has to approve burn centers.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure we know there's a 3-to-1 discrepancy right now on the appropriation request for people that are interested in the burn center.
That is true. Now, understand, as I understand, the University of Mississippi Medical Center is the only state-owned hospital. We are responsible for its operation and its ongoing funding if needed. Any other hospital in Mississippi that decide to be the burn center, state of Mississippi would not be responsible for any operational monies that might be necessary. I'm not sure what the University of Mississippi Medical Center might need, but the state of Mississippi would be responsible in that instance for operational monies.
Thank you. Thank you for your.
Thank you, Senator Sparks. Senator Hill, for what purpose, ma'am?
Question.
Are you for a question?
I do.
Thank you,
Senator Hill,
Senator.
you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Senator Pope. Do you know which other entities have reached out and asked for money to be a burn center?
Yes.
Would you mind disclosing that to the body?
The one that I'm aware of is Baptist Medical Center here in Jackson.
That's the only one that you know of?
That's the only one I know of.
And they're asking for 13 million?
That's what I understand.
Okay. You know, we already have a lot of resources invested in UMC, and I kind of, along the lines of Senator Sparks, that they have the capabilities of car accidents where a lot of people are burned. It's not always a house fire, it may be trauma. That's just one of my concerns too, that some of these other places are not as equipped to deal with overall trauma and burns as maybe UMC. But I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Let me say this to follow up on what you just said. There have to be a lot of specialties around burn centers because it does involve other organs of the body. And the health department has to decide who has those specialties and are capable of running this. This bill does not name anyone else as the burn center. It just allows the legislature and the state health department to name someone else than UMMC as the burn center.
Can I follow up on that? Of course. So it allows the health department to name them?
No, it allows the health department to approve a burn center. You have to have health department certification to be able to treat burns and be a burn center.
But you want the legislature to name a burn center at a later date, is that correct?
It could be.
Okay. But UMC's already acting in that capacity, correct?
No, they're not acting in the capacity of the burn center yet.
Is Merit still acting as the burn center?
They have closed that unit
Okay,
down.
well, somebody has to be acting, so I would say by default, it's probably UMC.
Well, several are still taking burn victims.
Right, but I would venture to say probably the more severe ones are either being sent to Mobile or UMC or maybe Tennessee.
Well, I certainly don't have that data to be able to confirm or deny that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Horn, for what purpose, sir?
I'm running, Senator Horn. I'm running.
Question.
You for a question, Senator Pope?
Yes.
You recognize, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Polk. Senator Polk, I saw in the paper where the medical center was saying after Merit shut down their burn center, that they would become the burn center, would be willing to become the burn center. I haven't heard about any other hospitals in Mississippi that have expressed such an interest. Can you tell us who they are?
I just explained to Senator Hill that Baptist Medical Center here in Jackson has proposed also.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so what is the process by which a selection is going to be made?
That I'm not totally sure of, but what this bill does is it makes sure that any other hospital could become the burn center as the designation goes forward.
But, okay, so at what point is a designation going to be made?
That I don't know.
and the making of, or the designating is going to be triggered by an authorization from the State Board of Health to operate a burn center. Is
That's
that
my
correct?
understanding.
And do you know whether or not Baptist and UMC have made application?
I do not.
So why are we doing this bill if?
The way the bill currently stands, it was passed in 2007. The University of Mississippi Medical Center shall become the burn center. Things have changed since 2007. The legislature's changed since 2007. And I think we owe it to be able to look and see if there are other hospitals and medical centers capable of taking on this task and doing a good job. So it's competitive, not necessarily just handed to someone. The bill says right now, the University of Mississippi Medical Center shall become the burn center. This bill changes shall to may. Doesn't keep them from becoming the burn center. It just levels the playing field so other hospitals and medical centers have the opportunity to apply.
So is the Board of Health going to set up a set of evaluation standards by which they will judge who should be so designated?
It's it's my understanding the standards and all that are already in place, and that's how the Meriden Hinds County was able to operate as the burn center because they had passed that qualification.
But my question is, as they evaluate who should become the burn center, is there going to be a set of criteria that they will establish and then score each applicant or whatever?
That is not addressed in the bill, so I don't know.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. For what purpose, sir? One moment, they'll bring you a microphone, sir. One moment.
Thank you, Mr. President. One question. How many active burn centers do we have in this state, in the state of Mississippi?
Burn centers, we have none right now.
Have none? So if there become an emergency, then we would not have a burn center. That's where we are now?
We don't have a designated burn center. We have several medical centers that are accepting burn patients.
But if we have that have accepted, where would we go? I remember hearing about this. This has been discussed previously at other places, that we'd have to take people out of state. And that's what I want to know. If we don't have adequate burn centers or enough of them, then we would have to take people out of state that have severe, if we have a disaster of a great magnitude.
It's my understanding, even when we had the burn center at Meriden Hinds, that some of the most severe cases, even then, had to go out of state to Georgia and other places. But we feel like right now there are enough medical facilities to take care of our burn patients. We do need to get to the point where we do have a designated burn center.
Does this amendment you have does designate University of Mississippi Medical Center? Does it or does it not?
It does not. The way the law reads now, they are designated. The strike all that I have before you just says it shall not be. It may be, but this just gives the opportunity for other medical centers in Mississippi to become the designated burn center.
Are any decided to become a designated burning center? What I'm trying to get to, Senator, is the fact that we could end up without one and have an emergency, we would need one or several.
Well, that is true, and I think right now we're limping along, and as soon as we can get the right medical center in place to become the burn center, the one that wants to, we'll have it solved. As we say, since 2007, even though this bill was passed, the University of Mississippi Medical Center has not chosen to be the burn center of Mississippi.
So we won't have one tomorrow by noon if this bill doesn't pass.
We won't have one tomorrow by noon if it passes or doesn't pass.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hobson. For what purpose you seek recognition, sir? Pass right now. And Senator Blunt, you pass as well? Okay, Senator Blunt, for what purpose, sir? Can you bring him a microphone, please? Thank you very much. Okay, Senator Blunt, for what
Thank you,
purpose?
Mr. President, for a question.
Do you have for a question, Senator Polk?
I do.
Please proceed, Senator Blunt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Polk. I just went on the website for the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and I'm reading a release that just came out 3 weeks ago that says, this is from UMMC. I'm pleased to announce the establishment of the Mississippi Burn Center here on the Jackson campus of the University of Mississippi Medical Center. Today, the IHL board approved UMC's request to establish and operate the Burn Center, which will provide much needed in-state burn care for Mississippi. So if this amendment were to pass, are we pulling the rug out from under what UMC is doing today based on the approval they've already received from the IHL board?
Well, the IHL board just gave permission for them to seek to be the burn center. The IHL board does not have the ability to name the burn center in Mississippi. The health department determines that.
But the medical center uses the word that they have established a medical center, that they have named a medical director, and it is, in their opinion, the natural progression of UMC to provide complex care to Mississippians, and they're proceeding based on this announcement to do that. And are we pulling the rug out from under them if we pass this amendment?
As I understand, that's a news release that was released by the University of Mississippi Medical Center. It is not a affirmative action of the health department to determine who is burn center. This is just something IHL has determined that they will allow UMMC to pursue this, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Senator Polk.
Thank you, Senator Blunt. Anyone else? Senator Hobson, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Hold on.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Polk. I think I heard you state in response to Senator Hill's question earlier, maybe it was Senator Jordan, that it is important for us to have a burn center in Mississippi. Is that the statement you made?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think most of us would agree that we need to have we want some burn center in Mississippi, correct?
I would.
I can't say correct, but I think we would pretty much agree that we need that. Wouldn't it also be important to have a default, if nothing else, a default burn center in the state?
Yes.
And wouldn't it be more logical if your default burn center in the state would be, or would it be more logical to have your default burn center as the state institution or the university institution as the default entity?
Senator, as you know, since 2007, they have not chosen to be the default burn center. They've left it up to other medical centers. And here we are with a opportunity to have another burn center, a different unit. I think it's imperative that we allow other medical centers to show us what they could do to assist our burn patients in Mississippi.
Yeah, I think the point that I'm trying to get to, and let me just state it and then ask a question or two, but anybody can open a burn center, so to speak, and call it a burn center, can't they?
That's correct.
And they could call it the XYZ Burn Center, or if it's in the Hattiesburg Burn Center, the Vicksburg Burn Center, anybody can open a burn center that wants to.
Anybody could open a facility with state health department approval to treat burns, yes.
So there's no reason that I see, and I would ask if you agree with this, to remove a default provision to one entity and then allow any other entity to open their own burn center that has the qualifications and that wants to do it and thinks they can make a profit and treat the burn patients.
They could, but it bothers me, Senator, that our state medical center, University Medical Center, has for years now chosen not to do that. I think it begs the question of why haven't they?
Well, if they've been the default burn center, means that if someone else is not operating it at the time, of course, when I got here, the Greenville Burn Center was the long-standing and understood burn center in the state, and then I think briefly it went out of state to Georgia, and I think everybody felt like it needed to get back in state, and if I remember correctly, it went to Central, there may have been one other stop before it got to Central Mississippi, someone that agreed to do it. But at this time, according to what I think we've heard from Senator Blunt, is that University of Mississippi has agreed to do it, and they are the default burn center in the state according to the existing laws, correct?
That is correct. But that's why I'm presenting this strike all, is I think we need to, since the University of Mississippi Medical Center has not chosen over the years to do this, to allow the opportunity for other medical centers who might have a better plan. And it's something that we would have to look at, and the State Health Department have to look at, to just ensure that we do the best we can for our Mississippians who are burned.
Yeah, but if you put in May, it could be that everybody backs out and we don't have a burn center in Mississippi, right?
It could be, but.
And I think that's the statement that I'm trying to get to is we have shall, at least we've got one entity in the state that we're going to say, you're going to be the burn center if it's not, nobody else agrees to do it. And even if under this language, if somebody else decides to do it and works with UMMC, they could say, we'll do our own burn center, and UMMC says we'll relinquish it. And of course, if you don't do it, other entity, we'll have to come back and do it as default. So I don't see any reason that we'd want to change this. Do you?
Yes, I would like to see other hospitals and medical centers have the opportunity to present their plans.
Okay. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pope, the most important thing is that we have an active named burn center in Mississippi. You would agree with that, correct?
Yes.
To manage or to operate a burn center, as I understand from meeting with Merit Hospital, is very expensive and very costly in terms of the particular needs that may be requested for the individual patients. You would agree with that, right?
I understand it's very expensive, yes.
The University of Mississippi, as I understand, have a lot of those resources available to them that some of the other hospitals in Mississippi may not have. You agree with that, correct?
I agree with that, but I also would say that anyone who chooses to try to be the burn center of Mississippi would certainly have the resources that are necessary to treat our patients.
Just listening at the two examples that you stated, the University Medical Center requested $4 million. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
And the Baptist request was $12 million.
Thereabouts.
So we're looking at right there between the two. We look. Going out. Hello. You're looking at potential of $8 million just between those two facilities. And there again, we're saying that the need to have a burn center in the state is imperative to have one. Why are we looking to prolong this effort and basically potentially deny individuals that may need those services, access to those services within the state?
I don't think it would prolong it at all. It really wouldn't change anything. It would just allow other medical centers in Mississippi to present proposals. The decision will be made as quickly as it will be one way or the other. What we're doing is allowing other medical centers besides UMMC to present a proposal to the health department in the state of Mississippi.
Well, let me ask this question. The legislation is scheduled to be enacted July 1st, 2023. Are we going to, how are we gonna handle this? I guess what I'm saying is the legislation, this won't come effective until July 1, 23. The current legislation allows the University of Mississippi to become that by default.
Let me let me say this. I will gladly entertain a reverse repealer of June 30 and let the bill move forward and for further discussion.
And the current legislation would stand and take precedent as far as what we're trying to do here?
As far as I would think, yes, until this law has changed to where we can give other medical centers the opportunity to present proposals, yes.
Thank you, Senator Polk. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Norwood. Senator DeBar, for what purpose, sir? One moment, please.
Question, Mr. President.
Will you yield, Senator?
I do.
Yes, Senator DeBar is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Polk. Did I hear you correctly in say that UMMC could have opened a burn center and this law's been on the books since 2007?
Yes.
But then they've chose not to?
That is correct.
Okay. And they've requested, UMMC's requested 4 million and Baptist 12 or 13 million?
That's correct.
The Baptist request, was that a one-time request or is that a reoccurring appropriation?
That was a one-time request to facilitate getting equipment and renovation on some areas. After that, the operational expense of the unit would be up to Baptist.
Okay, so the state would no longer be obligated to continue funding Baptist?
That is correct.
Now, what about UMMC? How would that, is that a recurring expense or a one-time expense?
The $4 million, I understand, would be a one-time, but as the state hospital, any operational expense that they needed to cover would come from the state of Mississippi.
So that amount could well exceed the $13 million investment in Baptist if we were to invest in them?
It could.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator DeBar. Other questions? Appreciate the Senate's patience on the microphone. Any other questions? Seeing none, Senator Bryan.
Members of the Senate, I will tell you what my understanding is of the current situation with the burn center. I'm obviously relying on things I've been told. I haven't hired investigators to find out, but this is how the situation has been explained to me. The burn center for a very long time was at Greenville. It was funded in a variety of ways. When the burn center was at Greenville, some burns were just treated, I mean, burns are a spectrum. So some burns were treated without ever going to the hospital. Some burns were treated at every hospital in the state. But you get to a severity of burns where they would tend to go to the burn center at Greenville. There were then, there are now, and there always will be patients with very severe burns who will go out of state. We do not have the ability, it's not feasible to treat the most severe burns in the state of Mississippi. Those patients go to Memphis, to Georgia, to Louisiana, wherever, but we're talking about a group of patients that are not that severe, but also a group of patients who are too severe really to be treated properly in other hospitals. That's how things worked when the burn center was at Greenville. When that became no longer feasible, Merit Health, or its forerunner, established a burn center. And that's where the burn center has been for some time. Earlier this year, Merit Health decided they were not going to operate the burn center any longer. As far as the financial benefit of operating the burn center, I will point out that Merit Health and its predecessors are a for-profit company, and they voluntarily decided to take on the burn center, just as they unilaterally decided to stop. At that point, it's my understanding that Baptist Hospital employed the director of the Burns Center, who had been at Merit Health, and a good number of staff members in order to maintain, among other things, to maintain here in Jackson the staff, because you really don't need for the staff to go in 16 different directions. And Baptist began operating, I won't call it a burn center, they began operating a unit or whatever. They had people there that could deal with some burns, and some burns went to Baptist. And Baptist tells us they are interested in establishing a burn center. Meanwhile, the University of Mississippi Medical Center has decided they wish to establish a burn center. I cannot tell you where all burn patients have been going. I do know that the former director of the burn center at Merit has been at Baptist, along with some of the staff. And so Baptist was in the process of trying to establish a center. Simultaneously, there was interest expressed at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. I will say that notwithstanding the statute that's been on the books since 2007, the University of Mississippi has not been operating a burn center. There is a section of law which says that the Board of Trustees of IHL can make a written determination spread upon their minutes that adequate funds are available from public and/or private sources for the annual operating cost of the facility, and then the University of Mississippi Medical Center may establish the facility. So I haven't looked at what they've done or didn't, but if they're complying with Section 37-115-45, apparently the Board of Trustees thinks that the University of Mississippi Medical Center will not need additional funds. I'm not sure that they looked at it that carefully. It's obvious that we need a burn center in Mississippi in the sense that we've always had a burn center to take care of the burns that are too severe to be treated locally, but not so severe that they have to be sent to one of the nationwide centers. As far as whether that should be at Baptist or at University of Mississippi Medical Center, I don't have a position on that. As for how much money, if any, the state of Mississippi should put into this, I don't have a position on that or any of that. I don't know that it is necessary to make any change to this statute for the burn center to be established at Baptist. I mean, we had a burn center at Merit Health while this was on the books. And so I don't know that this statute is standing in the way of that. Having said all of that, the bill as originally introduced just brought forth the code section. And I think it's useful to have the code section available before the legislature. I assume, apart from what goes on in this building, externally there are discussions being had. Baptist is looking at its situation. The University of Mississippi Medical Center is looking at its situation. I think before we go home, all of us would like for this to be resolved one way or another. And if there's going to be any state money put in any facility, we would like for that to be resolved. So far as I know, what you need for a burn center, apart from the specialized equipment and staff, is you need a hospital with enough services to take care of other problems that burn victims have. It's my understanding that both Baptist and University of Mississippi Medical Center have those additional facilities. So to the extent that's helpful, I don't have a particular position on this amendment. I don't have a position as to whether this particular amendment is necessary or sufficient, but the bill that we passed keeps the code section alive as is, and I do think it's useful to keep that code section alive so that if and when there's some resolution later in the session, if there's any need to change the statutory language, we can do that.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Norwood. Senator Norwood, you're recognized for an amendment.
So this is an opportunity when I can make a snide remark about the sound system. I'll just incorporate by reference my previous remarks about the sound system.
Senator Norwood, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. This would just basically offer the amendment at on line 271, inserting shall stand repeal on June the 30th, 2023.
Questions on the amendment? Senator Simmons, for what purpose, sir? 1 minute, please, where we get your mic. Just 1 second so we can all hear.
Mr. President, do I have to take the question?
No, sir, you do not.
Well, I'll take it, I guess.
All right, Senator Simmons, you're recognized.
I guess point of order or parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President, is this an amendment to the amendment?
It is, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Simmons. Any other questions? Okay, we're ready for your motion, Senator.
I offer motion that we adopt the amendment.
Thank you, Senator. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Move for adoption of the amendment.
Senator Polk has moved for adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Polk, thank you. We're on the bill.
Move for final passage, morning roll call.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no. Present. Seeing none. I'm sorry, Senator. Not voting. Senator Sparks, not voting. Anyone else? Anyone else? Bill passes. We'll go to item on the agenda be 22. A motion to reconsider calendar. 22. Senator Hill, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I would like to do is reconsider the vote.
We have to call it up.
I'm sorry. I'd like to have that called up and the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2392, fees for county garbage collection, revised provision related to.
Thank you. What we would like to do is to reconsider the vote by which this bill failed, to basically amend and take out the tax sale portion that basically most of the senators in here voted against this bill for. And what his amendment would do, I'll let him explain, but all it would do would be just to create the registry and update it every quarter, so that the tag office would have an updated registry every quarter. So I'd like to let him explain the changes before we reconsider the vote.
Okay, we'll recognize him. The motion is to reconsider the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. One moment. Would you take Senator Fillingane? So we're good? Senator Fillingane does not have a question. He passes. I'm sorry, Senator McConnell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have stripped out, and what we've done is gone back to the original language on this strike-off. We've stripped out any reference to any sale. We've put back in there the language that said no property may be sold for tax, for garbage liens. And the pertinent language on the very back there, and I will ask him to highlight this on number 6. We took out all the reference on the registry, and all we put in was very simple language. It says, liens created under this statute shall be contained in the Chancery Clerk's office in a separate hard book format or digital format, and shall include all information necessary for recording and indexing. Registry should be created by January the 1st of 2024. Nothing else in there, and the only thing that's doing, this is what a lot of your land people are asking for, is that there are counties that do a great job, and there are counties that don't do a great job. So you may be in a county that does a great job, or you may be like some of our senators who don't have a very good job of garbage collection. But the deal is, you at least have to put a registry out there so we can see if there is one. And that's the only thing that this bill is doing now. And you'll see there is a reverse repealer in there. So not only did we fix the concerns of this body, we also put a reverse repealer in there so that that's available if you have any other questions to work on. So I would entertain questions at this point.
1 second, Senator Blackman, 1 moment. We'll get you microphone. Okay, Senator Blackman, for what purpose, ma'am?
Question.
Will you for a question, Senator?
I will.
Please proceed, Senator Blackman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. My question is, what is the purpose of this registry? Is it for someone to come when land is about to be sold, or them to see that there's a garbage?
So the question from the senator is, what is the purpose of the registry? Is it for whenever a property is being sold in a fair market between two parties? The purpose is that if there is a outstanding delinquent garbage lien out there, that there is a place where you can go and search to determine whether it's out there or not. That is the only purpose. Senator, we're not changing any language of the current statute, the way it reads. All I'm doing is putting in the current registry at the back. It has some language already in here about other things. I'm not changing anything else that's currently in the statute. So all we're doing is saying that if you are going to claim that there's a delinquent account, you have to have a book. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Other questions on the amendment? Seeing none, we're ready for your motion.
I would move that we adopt the strike all committee's amendment at this time.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And I would move for final passage based upon the morning roll call.
Final passage has been requested based on the morning roll call. Anyone object to procedure? Court is voting no. Present. Seeing none, the bill passes. Thank you, Senators. It's Friday, y'all. All right, 23. Senator Hill.
Yes, I'd like to have the bill called up and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2735, mayoral veto power, clarify scope of.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to reconsider the vote on this bill that passed in order to put some more cleanup language in there so that all the statutes regarding municipal and county government would be uniform, and just re-clarify that that in order for a statute or an ordinance or a policy to be enacted, that the council has to approve it. And also it would remove that language that was in there that said that a mayor could only spend $100 outside of their budget. And I talked to MML and they're happy with this language.
One moment, Senator, we have to decide whether we're going to do that or
Okay.
not. So please, 1 moment. Motion is to reconsider the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes barely have it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. So what we're doing on this amendment is we're striking the language that says, in carrying out the duties and exercising his powers, the mayor shall in no case expend municipal funds in excess of $100 in one instance without prior approval. Now, some mayors have budgets, some don't, but they all have to have their budget approved by the council anyway, if they have a budget. So that language will be stricken. The only other thing it does is takes where we have in each section on line 99, 101 to 105. It just adds the word affirmative in front of the word ordinances in the statute so that all sections that involve municipal government will be uniform. And that was something that was asked for by MML.
Okay, we have questions. Senator Blunt, for what purpose, sir? I'm sorry, the thing's not working. We'll bring you one. Okay, there we go.
Thank you. Question.
Push it up. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Hill.
You're going to have to speak louder. It's not working, Senator Blunt. Thank you. You're recognized for a question. Senator Blunt.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Senator Hill. the bill that originally came before the body that Municipal League had problems with, and so that's why you're proposing this amendment?
Yes.
It's my sense, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the motivating factor behind this bill in the first place is about one instance in one city, and that case is with the Mississippi State Supreme Court right now, and they're going to make a ruling on that case, and I think they're going to fix this problem. And I'm concerned that if I'm not concerned with this amendment, but what I'm concerned about is that this bill is really not necessary. It obviously had problems, or you wouldn't be trying to fix it. And the only thing that we're trying to address is one instance that the Supreme Court is about to fix and address for us. So do we really need this bill, or should we just wait on the Supreme Court to address the problem at hand?
I think the clarifying language needs to be here regardless of what the Supreme Court comes back and says, because we need all of our statutes that reference municipal government to be the same.
Well, I'm just concerned that if we would just be a little patient, we'd solve the problem and we would not run the risk of changing something that seems to have been working for a long time.
We're not changing the authority at all. We're just adding clarifying language that says affirmative ordinances.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Barnett. One moment, please.
Question, Mr. President.
Are you here for a question, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Barnett, recognized.
Thank you. So, Senator Hill, basically, what you're trying to do is to say that a mayor cannot veto a no vote because that's considered a non-action by the city council.
Correct.
And this goes back to the question that Senator Blunt just asked. So this is basically referencing one city, one incident, and that is before the Supreme Court that has it, that will fix this problem. So my question will be then, why are we trying to punish, or why are we trying to usurp authority for one incident and spread it out across the whole state when the Supreme Court is almost ready to fix this problem for us?
Well, believe it or not, there are other instances similarly, and that is one reason why that many folks in smaller towns across have asked us to put a recall process in for mayors. So this is not limited to one instance. The one instance got all the publicity, but there is more than one instance where things of this nature have happened.
Question again. So you just mentioned recall. So are we trying to recall, or are we trying
No,
to
this
limit
has
veto?
nothing to do with recall, but there are other bills out there that we passed through this body that talked about recalling a state-appointed official for willful neglect. There's one in the House, I think, for recalling other elected officials. And I'm telling you, because of some of the things that happen in small towns, that's where that bill probably originated. But this basically does not change the statute. It's clarifying language.
So, Senator, you also mentioned that there has been other instances where this has happened. Do you have any shareable information that you could present to this body at this particular time that will validate what you just said in regards to having other instances of this happening? Or is this only on what has been said or what's been heard?
In the past, something similar to this happened in my own city, and it went to court.
Other than your home city, you said there are multiple, so you said...
Yes,
so
I've read instances in small towns. I think the state auditor has probably got a list of those things because some of those people he's actually indicted for misappropriation of funds. So I think you could probably reference the state auditor.
Motion, I'm sorry, I need to file an amendment, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator.
Okay, we're on the amendment. Would you provide to Senator Wiggins, please? Senator Wiggins, for what purpose, sir?
Thank question.
Question, were you here for a question?
Yes.
Senator Hill. Senator Wiggins is recognized for a question.
Thank you, sir. Is this, my recollection is, I think I even put in a reverse repealer on the bill. This isn't taking out the reverse repealer, is it?
Let me look and see. No, it's not.
So a reverse repealer is in, should this?
Yes, it's in there.
So should this amendment pass, the reverse repealer will be in the bill?
Yes.
Okay. My next question is, and I've read a couple things, I've found it confusing about what's going on, but I've also found it concerning because there seems to be, not just in Jackson, but other places, a fight between who can do what on a contract. Can you please describe why and what the issue is?
Well, basically, the statute says that a mayor can veto an affirmative ordinance, but the council can come back and override that, just like we could do as a legislature. And what this does is just clarifies that a mayor can't unilaterally enter into a contract or an ordinance that's not approved by the council.
In there something about if the mayor vetoes it, then the council comes back again? Is that what's a dispute?
That's current language.
Okay.
That's current language.
All right, thanks.
That's current statute.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, do we have an amendment? No? Okay. Okay, now we're on the amendment, Senator.
I'd ask for
All in favor?
all in favor of the strike all, the amendment to the strike all.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator.
Now I'd ask for passage on the morning roll call.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Court is voting no. Present. Seeing none. Passes. 24. Senator Fillingham, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to get that item called up and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2099, motor vehicle theft, revised penalty for.
The motion is that we do table the motion to reconsider.
Motion to table. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator.
I'd like to get item number 25 called up and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2100, receiving stolen property, revised the crime of.
Motion is to table the motion to reconsider.
Questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Fillingham, you're recognized. You're on 25, sir. I'm sorry, you're on 20. No, I'm sorry, you're right. This next one is 26. 26, pass. 27. Senator Sparks, you're recognized. We're on 27, 2351.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the okay of Chairman Tate, I would like for you to call number 27 up, please.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2351, elections allows Secretary of State to perform random procedural audits on counties.
I would like to reconsider the vote by which this passed.
Motion is to reconsider. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator. Please proceed.
I have a strike all amendment, a copy of which
One moment, please, Senator.
I believe is on the screen. I've already given it to him. I had spoken with Senator Tate and also spoke with the Attorney General. I'm sorry. Pardon me. This bill is a strike all to a bill that we passed earlier that I had several questions that was addressed as an election integrity bill. This strike all actually addresses election fraud, which is kind of what we are all talking about. It does have a reverse repealer in it. I maintained that. But if you, I will briefly explain what the bill does. If a candidate whose name appears on the ballot in question, an election official or the circuit clerk where a county an election took place, gives a written request, verified complaint, the Attorney General is authorized to investigate such election fraud. Section 2, Secretary of State shall assist in any investigation upon request of the AG. Section 3, very important, there are rules of how you challenge elections. This does not interfere with that or usurp that. The Attorney General shall not investigate a complaint while there is an ongoing election challenge. They need to follow the law and the timeframes as it relates to a challenge. This is not a way to challenge an election. This is a way to actually report election fraud. Not generalizations, but specific things from specific people who are willing to sign their name at the bottom of the line. One of the problems we have today in our election system is we have a lot of innuendo, we have a lot of vague statements. We need more specificity, and this bill brings that to the table. I think everybody in here who's an elected official would want to support that. If there is fraud alleged, somebody wants to sign their name to it, let's look at it and let's see. When that request is made, Section 4, there are three things that can happen. If the Attorney General's office determines that a full investigation is not warranted, they shall provide their reasoning in writing to whomever requested it, the candidate, in that case, the circuit clerk, and to the Secretary of State's office. That's a good thing for all of us, because if there's an allegation made in a race or an election for fraud, and it is looked at and said that didn't happen, that helps build strength in the belief in our election system. It also potentially exonerates the local election officials and circuit clerks. If there is a full investigation, there shall be a written report provided to the complainant, to the circuit clerk of the county in the complaint, and the Secretary of State's office if criminal action is not pursued. Of course, if there's election fraud, we all understand that is actually a crime. So finally, if the Attorney General alleges that a criminal act has occurred, he or she shall either turn that over to the district attorney in the district where the criminal acts occurred, or prosecute through their existing authority in Section 751. That is a brief explanation of the bill, and I would yield any questions, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Butler, for what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr.
Here
President.
for a question, Senator Sparks.
I yield.
Senator Butler is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Sparks. So you're basically doing away with the Secretary of State being able to go and what the title says here, elections allow Secretary of State to perform random procedural audits in counties. So your strikeout is doing away with that.
That's correct. If I had the ability to strike the short title, I would, but I don't believe that's possible. And the Secretary of State did come over yesterday, and he had explained that he had a vehicle coming from the House that may meet some of those things. But I sort of got passionate on this bill and probably should apologize to the body and to Chairman Tate for getting a little over exuberant. But election integrity issues are important to me, and I don't believe vague general things should be involved. I believe we should approach it with specificity, and that's what this bill tries to do. If there's a specific thing that we believe is fraudulent, say it, let's investigate it, let's deal with it.
Thanks, Senator Sparks. Thank you, Mr.
Senator
President.
Butler. Seeing no further questions, Senator Sparks, we're ready for your motion.
I would move to adopt this strike-off.
Motion to adopt the strike all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator, please proceed.
I would ask for passage on the morning roll
Use
call.
of
if there are
morning
no
roll call has
questions.
been requested. Anyone object to procedure? Or voting no? Present? No. Blackman. Anyone else? Anyone else? Turner Ford, no. Anyone else? Butler, no. Simmons, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Norwood, no. Anyone else? Frazier, no. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. Thomas. Butler. Seeing no further, bill passes. Thank you. All right. Let's go to 28, Fillingham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to get that item called up and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2343, Capitol Police bring forward code section related to for possible amendment.
I move to table the motion to reconsider.
Motion is to table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Fillingham. 29, Carter. Passes. 30, Fillingham.
I'd like to go to the item called up and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2101, criminal law, increased penalties for crimes of fleeing a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, and carjacking.
I move to table the motion to reconsider.
Motion to table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
I'd like to go to item 31, called up and have the title read.
Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2347, hospital police department, authorized for certain private entities.
Move to table the motion to reconsider.
Motion to table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed. Senator DeBar. Senator Turner. I'm sorry, I did not recognize you. I apologize, and I did not see you on the screen. I apologize, Senator. Okay, Senator DeBar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Call item 32, have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2777, school attendance officers revised to increase the minimum base salary.
Thank you, Mr. President. My motion is we reconsider the vote by which it passed for the purposes of adding a reverse repealer.
Motion is to reconsider the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an amendment. After speaking this past yesterday, I spoke with a few members, Senator Hickman specifically, and some others, about some issues in the bill with the contracts and so forth. So I wanted to add a reverse repealer to ensure it come back to this body, and that way we can clarify some language. And that's the explanation of the
Questions on the amendment? Questions?
Motion is we adopt the amendment.
Motion to adopt the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, Senator DeBar.
My motion is we pass by use of the morning roll
Use of the
call.
morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Board is voting no. Present? Seeing none, passes. 33 on the general calendar. Wiggins? Pass. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other business? Go to announcements. Any announcements? Seeing none? I'm sorry, Senator Barnett, for what purpose, sir? One moment. Let's get you a mic. And a mic for Senator Polk, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to announce that Corrections will have a confirmation hearing Monday at 3:30 in room 409. Monday, 3:30, room 409.
Confirmation hearing Monday, 3:30, room 409, Mr. Clerk. Okay, Senator Butler,
Yes, Mr. President, join in memory.
please proceed.
Mr. President, I would like for Senator join in memory of former Deputy Freddie Yarborough, who died on the 29th of January from Port Gibson, Mississippi.
Thank you, Senator. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Senator Hill. Purposes of an announcement. One moment, Senator, that doesn't work.
With unanimous consent, I'd like to be added as a co-author to several bills, and I have them written down. I can call them out if I need to.
Would you call them out, please, ma'am?
Senate Bill 2099, 2100, 2101, 2853, 2575, 2346, 2358, 2153, 2612, 2596, and 2054.
Seeing no objection, it is granted. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Senator DeBar, you recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for an excused absence for my deskmate, Senator Michelle, who's attending a funeral.
No objections granted. Other announcements? Appreciate your patience today. The sound system was tested, I was informed earlier. We're uncertain as to why it's not working currently. We'll try to have it working by Monday. I want to thank the Senate for a lot of hard work on deadline day and motion day. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 11 a.m. this morning, which time the journal will reflect that we're adjourned until 4 p.m. Monday.
Adjourned until 4 p.m. Monday. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We stand in recess.